Welcome back, friends. Dan Vega here, and today I want to talk about an exciting new feature in an upcoming version of Spring Framework. And currently, we are on Spring Framework 6.2.0, milestone 5 or 6. The feature I'm going to look at is in milestone 5. This will be coming later this year because this is the basis for Spring Boot 3.4, which will be coming in November. The year is 2024, in case you're watching us in the very, very far future. So we are here over at the Spring.io blog. There is a nice write-up from Stefan on some of the new features available in Milestone 5. If you head over to this link right here, you can see a detailed change log for everything that was added in this milestone. A lot of really great stuff. One in particular that I'm really excited about is this one, which is support for rendering multiple fragments. If you want to click into the issue, you can kind of read some more thoughts on that. Basically what Rawson says here is HTML-focused libraries such as HTMX.org and Hotwire Turbo with HTML over the wire. Use of multiple HTML fragments to update on the page. So I have a page, I need to update multiple pieces of the page. With HTMX, we can do this without having JavaScript. We get these dynamic capabilities without having to use JavaScript. And this is really exciting. For simple pages where I don't need a whole application, this is what I want to use. It's lightweight, it's fast, it's really great for me. But in previous versions of Spring, if I wanted to make a request and then update multiple pieces of a page, I couldn't do that in Spring itself. I had to bring in another library, which is a great library by our friend William DeBall. Great library. I'll link that in the description below as well. But now with this update, we can actually create a collection of fragments that we need to return. And those are collections of models and views. So now we can use multiple fragments to return, and this solves that problem. So I want to show you the end result first before we go off and build it. Maybe it'll make it a little bit more exciting. So I have this shopping cart here, and the shopping cart I built with Tailwind CSS using Tailwind UI components. All the code for this will be in the GitHub repository listed below. But I have two sections here. I have a product list and I have an order summary. In the product list, I'm listing out all the products in the cart. There's a bunch of properties of that product, right? And what I want to do is when I go ahead and click this X, I'm basically sending a post to the server. And I need to send back multiple fragments. This is a fragment and this is a fragment. I need them to be updated. But again, we're not submitting an entire request to the server and returning an entire response. We are just kind of updating these two fragments. So what I want to do is when I click this, I want this products list to be updated, but I also need the order summary to be reflected. So the order total, the subtotal, the shipping estimate is just a flat rate of 5 and the tax rate is 0, just for this example. So as I click this, you see that it basically takes that away and then it updates the order summary. And if we were to go and inspect this, and we were to go on the network here, network, and let's do that one more time. You'll see down here that we have this call, and you see that we made a call to localhost 8080/cart/update2. We look at the response, and we basically get two responses. We get this section for order summary, and then we get our products list. So this is just the HTML that we want to respond with, and then it is basically added to the DOM or replacing certain parts of the DOM. So this is really cool. I've done some videos in HTMX before. I'm a big fan of it. If this is your first time seeing HTMX, maybe jump into another tutorial. But this is really exciting for me because of this new update in Spring Framework 6.2.0 milestone 5. We can now do this without having to bring in another library. And again, I got some questions on this. Is this just a time leaf thing? No, this is not time leaf. This is really at the controller level, Spring MVC, even Spring WebFlux. We are adding the ability to return that collection. So I can say, here's a collection of model and views. go ahead and return those back. So maybe it'll make more sense when we dive in. All of the code for this is going to be in this repo, github.com/danvega/multiple fragments. We're going to build this out today. So let's head over to start.spring.io. We are going to choose Java. We are going to choose Maven. I am going to choose the latest snapshot. I'm pretty sure this is in M1. I'm not sure yet, actually. So just to be safe, I'm choosing the 3.4.0.snapshot. If you are in the far near future, November, and 3.4 is available, you can just pick 3.4. So I'm going to say that my group is dev.danvega. The artifact is multiple. Come on, Dan, let's spell. Multiple fragments, and I'll keep this there. I'm going to choose Java 22. You can choose whatever you like. And I'm going to reach for Spring Web. I'm also going to reach for for TimeLeaf. I'm also going to reach for the DevTools. I'll probably take a look. We'll probably add a couple other things in there, but this is good enough to get started. So with that, you can go ahead and generate this. This is going to download a zip. You can open it up in whatever text editor or IDE you're most productive in. For me, that is IntelliJ Ultimate Edition, so that's what I'll put it in. What are we waiting for? Let's write some code, friends. All right, so in my application, open up here. I'm going to add one more dependency here. We need a dependency on htmx.org. I'm bringing in HTMX via WebJars, but you can actually just add a CDN to your templates as well. It doesn't really matter. For this example, I'm just bringing this in here. So now we have all the dependencies we need. We can start to build out our application. I'm going to start in the templates directory, and we're going to just start building out some of these templates. Now, I don't want to spend too much time. I mean, we can go through here and you can watch me code templates using Tailwind CSS and Tailwind UI, but I think that'd be kind of boring and not great use of your time. So we're going to paste a couple things in here, but you can pull these down from the repo. So I'm going to start with the cart.html. Again, this is going to be the main landing page. We'll hook up a controller to this in a second. And I just want to talk through what we're doing in here. So this is going to be a TimeLeaf template. We're naming this shopping cart. We are going to link to a main.css. Now, how are we going to get this main.css? Great question. I am going to bring in, under source main, I'm going to bring in a directory called front end. Now, if this is new to you, I have done a video on this, how to add Tailwind CSS to your Spring Boot and TimeLeaf projects. I don't want to repeat that again. Better use of our time if you want to learn about that, go check that out in another video. What this will do is it will allow me to go into source main front end. I can run npm install. That's going to install what I need, and then I can run npm run build. That will look at my templates and put in a styles or a main.css in here. I can also run npm run watch. So as those change, this main.css will get updated with all of the styles, because if you just include all of Tailwind, that's too many styles. You're going to get a huge CSS file that you don't want in there. This is a way to make sure that we're only using the Tailwind styles that we've declared in our templates. So we are linking to that static main.css. Good. All right. Then we have some just layout stuff here. So shopping cart. We have a section for items in your shopping cart. And then I have two fragments here. So I'm basically saying, hey, there's going to be a fragment called products fragment, which is going to be in the products.html file that we haven't created yet here in templates, and another fragment for our order summary. So we'll build those out next. And then at the bottom here, I'm using that WebJars dependency to include HTMX as a script right before the closing body tag. Okay, so far so good. The next thing we'll need is this products.html. So let's go ahead and create that in here. So products.html. We'll paste this in and then talk through this. Again, this is a TimeLeaf template. We have some meta tags here, nothing interesting. In a real world, yeah, we actually are doing that now, so I'll go ahead and remove that. But what we're going to do is this is a fragment. So the name products fragment, remember we referenced that in the cart.html. We have an ID of products list. We have so we're using TimeLeaf to iterate over a collection of products. We have not passed those down from a controller to this yet, but we will. And we're just iterating over the products. There's going to be 3 in the cart. We're going to display the product ID. Actually, it's a hidden value. We're going to display the image. So the images are going to be in a /images folder. So let's do that before we forget. I am going to paste those in. There are 3 images right here. And there they are. Product, shopping cart, page 01. Product 1, 2, and 3. Again, I'm pulling that from the Tailwind UI project. So I have these images. We're displaying an alt. So we're going to have some alt text there. We have a title, we have color, we have size, price, and then we're formatting that because it's an integer on the product type. And then we have this quantity changer. We're not really using that in this, but it's there. And then we have this button. So if you remember from the beginning, there was like an X button. I can go ahead and click on that and it would remove it. Now the way this works is we're using this HX post and I need to use a TimeLeaf attribute here because I want to use a dynamic variable in here. I want to post to /cart/update and then the product ID. So that's why I'm doing that here. And so what happens is we'll target the products list ID. And what we're doing is we're swapping out the HTML. So when we call this, what we want to return is just the HTML that we want to swap out. That saves us from doing a full submission to the server and getting a full response back. We're just getting that piece back. Then we'll take a look at it, but there's then the concept of an out-of-bounds swap that will allow us to also update the order summary. So that's it. That's the products.html, which leaves us with that order summary. And then we'll get on to kind of the interesting stuff that happens in Spring Framework 6.2.0 milestone 1. So we have products. I want order summary.html. Paste this in. What's going on here? Again, a TimeLeaf template. We have this fragment called order summary fragment. ID order summary. And then here's where we're using that HX swap out of bounds. So we are saying replace the outer HTML where the ID is order summary, right? And then there's just the order summary here. We're going to push in some variables in here using the model and view in Spring. So we'll get things like the order subtotal and the order total, and you can see we're displaying those using some formatting there. Okay, so that's the interesting bits on kind of the front end stuff. Let's kind of make this work. And the way that we're going to do that is I want to start with let's go ahead and start with a product package. So in product, I'm going to have everything related to product. And I'm going to start with a Java class and we'll go ahead and say this is product. This will be a record. And record's going to have a few components. We'll go ahead and paste those in and talk about them. So I'm going to have an integer ID, the title, color. I'm going to have the size, so small, medium, large, price, stock, which is, for this case, again, I just kept it simple. Let's say like it's either in stock or a month out, and it just says like ships in 3 to 4 weeks. We have an image, and then we have our alt text. So the next thing we need is a size, and I think we'll go ahead and make that an enum. So let's say Java class size, that will be an enum, and we'll paste that in. So we have small, medium, and large. And then finally, we need stock. And again, we'll have Java class here, stock, enum, and paste that in there. Okay, so that satisfies the kind of product side of things. Now what I need to do is I need a couple things. I need a cart controller and I need a cart service. Let's start with the cart controller. So I'm going to create a Java class. I'm going to call this cart controller. This is going to be a controller. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let's get a logger. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is actually let's set a request mapping for this. Let's say the request mapping is just the /cart. And then we'll create a get mapping for that cart.html. Remember, we have this cart.html. So I want someone, when somebody goes to /cart, it's just going to bring up our template there. So we'll say public string cart. We'll get in the model. We'll use that in a bit. And then all we're going to do is return cart, right? So now we have our shopping cart. We need a way to get some products into it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refactor this a little. Let's start a package called cart. This will go in there. And then I'll create a new Java class. Let's call this cart service. This is going to be a service annotation. And let's talk about what we need in here. So we need let's get a logger. We need a way to track the list of products. So I'm going to say private final list of product. We'll call this products equals new array list. And then I need a way to return all of those products. So I will say a list of product, and we'll call this find all. And then I'm going to return products, right? So now I need to get some products into that collection. So what I'll do is paste this in here. We're just going to use a post construct to say this will happen after this gets initialized, and then this will get called, and we're just adding 3 products to that list. It's those 3 products that I showed in the original demo. So now we should have some products in there. We're returning products, starting to look good. Now from the cart controller, I'm going to need that cart service. So I'll say private final cart service. We'll get this through constructor injection. And now we can start to add some information here, right? So we can use that model to add an attribute called products. And that is going to come from the cart service.findAll. So that will give us our initial list of products. Now, the other thing that we're going to need in there right away is the order subtotal and the order total. So what I want to do is go back into my cart service and find out a way to get that. So the first one is the subtotal. So public integer get order subtotal, right? And the way that we're going to do that is we're just going to take the products list that we have. We're going to turn that into a stream. And then what we can do is go ahead and map to int, and we'll take the product ID, or not ID, sorry, price. And that will give us everything we need, and then we can sum that up and return that. So that's that, but we also need a public integer get order total. So that is basically the subtotal plus tax. So again, I said for this, we're just going to say it's the subtotal plus a flat rate of $5 for tax. Again, if this were a more real world example, we can add on to that, but I think that's sufficient for today. So now from here, in my shopping cart controller, I need 2 more attributes. So I'll say model.add attribute. The first one is going to be order subtotal. And again, that's cart service.get order subtotal. And then model.add attribute. And we'll call this order total. Let's spell Dan. And this will be cart service.order total. And there we go. So this is starting to look good. I think we have, let's spell that right. I think we have the 3 attributes we need. I think this should work. Let's go ahead and see if the page will just display, because we have products, which is used in the products HTML. And then we have order subtotal and order total, which is used on that order summary. So I think we might be able to get this to just display. Now, it's not going to function how we want it to yet, but that's okay. We currently have something going. So let's see what is going on. Let's kill... Okay, let's see if that works now. And we have something running. So if we go to localhost 8080/cart, we are displaying our products. We have this checkout. We have our order summary over here. But again, if we click on this, nothing's happening yet. And that's okay. We didn't do that yet. So now we can implement that, which is going to be the fun part and kind of the point of this video. So let's create a new post mapping. So again, we are posting from the products. So if we go back to products, we are sending a post to /cart/update and then the ID of the product that we want to update. So we have a post mapping to /cart/update/ID. All right, and so this is going to be public. This is going to return a collection of model and view, and we're going to call this update cart. This is going to take in a path variable for that ID. So integer ID. We'll also need the model, and that's that. So now what we get to do is the first thing we want to do when this is called is we want to remove that particular product from the cart. So I might want to say cart service dot, let's call it remove, and then we'll pass in the ID. Now this method does not exist yet. So create method, and all this is going to do is say products dot remove if, and the predicate will be remove if, and the predicate will be does the product ID equal the ID that we got in as an argument, right? So that will remove our product. And then all we're going to do is return multiple fragments. So again, in the HTMX world, we're not sending back a full response. We are sending back just the fragments of HTML that need to be replaced in the DOM. So what we're going to do is we're going to return list.of, and then that will be a new model and view. And what is the view name? So this is where our fragments come into play. So the template that I care about is order summary, right? And this is the order summary fragment, okay? Then what we need is we need a list of key value pairs that we want to send. So the same way that we did above, using model.addAttribute, we can pass in a map here. So I could say map.of and just some key value pairs. So I want to say order subtotal, right? That is the cart service dot get order subtotal, right? Let's move this out of the way for now. And then next we need the order total, and this is going to come from the cart service dot get order total, right? So that's our first model and view. Then we say new model and view. The next view name, the template is the products template, and the fragment is the products fragment, right? And then all we're adding there is, we'll do the same thing, map.of. We'll say we need the products. So we've already removed one from the products, and we basically want to go off and say what are the current products in the cart. So again, we're going to call that cart service and just say, hey, return to me all of those products. Okay, so let's see if we've done everything correctly. Not getting, let's see, path variable, yes. Right, we don't need the model because we are not adding attributes there. We remove it, and then we return a list. Now, this is the new piece. Again, we couldn't do this before. We could return something like this. We could come in here and say products, fragment, right? This we could do before, and that would return that single fragment, but you could not do two of them. And so this is what this is allowing us to do. We can now return a collection of model and views, which is really great. So I think that's it. Let's see if this works. Let's go ahead and rerun the application. Head over to localhost 8080/cart. And if we click on this, that goes away. We see that the subtotal looks correct. The order total looks correct. If we go ahead and delete that, we are looking good here. Oh, that is awesome. This was a lot of fun to build out. I'm a big fan of HTMX. I love this new feature in Spring Framework 6.2.0 milestone 5 that allows us to return a collection of model and views, which makes HTMX that much easier to work with in Spring, in this case, Spring Boot and Timelife. So, hey, I hope you not only learned something new today about a new feature coming up, but hopefully also inspired you to check out HTMX if you haven't already. It's really great for adding this dynamic behavior to our templates without having to go full on JavaScript mode with some kind of component framework, right? I've been a big fan of it, of adding these nice little interactions without having to build out these heavier applications. So this has been a lot of fun. Friends, you know what time it is. If you did learn something new today, if you found value in this, do me a big favor and go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, happy coding, friends.